said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive, coming from this state and what he's done in this state, to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but now this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but doesn't think you can win. What do you say?
It's one thing to call out a politician. It's another to absolutely roast him on national TV. And that's exactly what Bill Maher just did. While Maher has previously shown support for Gavin Newsom, even he's reached his breaking point. On his show, Maher unleashed on the California governor, blasting his record and failures, and he didn't pull any punches.
Newsom is the governor of California, home to 12% of all Americans and 50% of all Mexicans. On the upside, Newsom is the only governor, with the possible exception of Kristi Noem, who looks like they could do porn.
At one point, Maher even joked that Newsom's biggest accomplishment has nothing to do with policy, it's that he looks like he could star in the adult film industry. A brutal jab, especially coming from someone who once praised him. Think about it. You're the governor of the largest state in the nation, and your legacy boils down to your looks. That alone speaks volumes about just how far things have unraveled. Under Newsom's watch,
I don't want to say he really wants to be the guy who steps in if the current nominee goes down, but he gets an alert on his phone every time Biden can't think of a word. The downside is that governor of California is kind of like being conservator for Britney Spears. They'll attack him on California's homeless problem, but there's a response to that. The homeless can live anywhere, but they choose California.
Take homelessness, for example. California has practically become a magnet, thanks to laws that make life on the streets easier instead of addressing the problem. Newsom's policies haven't eased the crisis, they've only made it worse. Entire blocks in major cities are now lined with tents, with neighborhoods resembling open-air shelters. On top of that, his soft-on-crime approach often leaves offenders with nothing more than a slap on the wrist. The outcome couldn't be clearer. Homelessness is up, crime is up, and quality of life is sinking fast.
First, the knock on Gavin has always been that he's slick. Yeah, you know what? I'm okay with that. I noticed slick is something no one has been accusing Biden of lately. Do you want good at talking or don't you? Newsom is the best communicator in the party, with a history of standing up to bullies, and his name lends itself to the best slogan since I Like Ike. I'm having Gavin.
Then there's Newsom's leadership, or rather, the lack of it. He's polished, charismatic, and knows how to work a room, but behind the charm are nothing but hollow promises. He's perfected the skill of talking endlessly without actually saying anything. That may win headlines, but it does nothing to fix California's biggest problems. And now, with Marwin's a defender turning on him, it's a warning sign the rest of the country shouldn't ignore.
On KBLA yesterday, with my friend Tavis Smiley. I'm an investor and a supporter of that station. And he said, who do you want to run for president? I mentioned, I think you'd be good at the job. Not this year, we know. No, I know. But he said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive, coming from this state and what he's done in this state, to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but now this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but doesn't think.
One thing is crystal clear. Gavin Newsom has no real path to the presidency. His record in California is simply too heavy. A burden to carry. Businesses are fleeing, jobs are vanishing, and families are being priced out of their own communities. Even many within his own party admit he's taken things too far. And when your base starts stepping back, your national ambitions are effectively finished.
The swing state, there's only 8 of them.
Right. Well, I mean, California is an interesting case study, isn't it? It's the size of 21 state populations combined.
Yeah.
2/3 of the state is very deeply red. We don't need to be lectured on rural politics or border issues. I mean, in so many ways, these are familiar issues, and the issues in the heartland of the United States are very much a part and parcel of the work we're doing in this state. But look, I understand this notion that you're from the coast, you don't understand those things. You can't talk the language. You're not able to communicate. You're not able to actually encourage and find that common ground.
It's stuff like there's a new law in this. I think we have way too many regulations and laws, as we've talked about. And this one, I think, says if you're a department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Maher also zeroed in on another part of Newsom's record, his push for what many view as extreme woke policies. California has turned into a testing lab for some of the most out-of-touch laws in the country. He pointed to one example. Any toy store with more than 500 employees is required to have a gender-neutral section. For parents, this isn't about toys anymore. It's politics intruding into everyday life. And for voters across the rest of America, it comes off as completely It's exactly the kind of thing that makes people say, this guy doesn't stand a chance in a national election.
Government, too much government there.
That's an interesting one, because the department stores came to us supporting that. And they were the ones making a case for that. They were making a case, they're already moving in that direction.
Wanted you to make a law about them?
Well, but they've supported the legislation. It wasn't legislation that was enacted, that was initiated from my office, but it was legislation that came up with interesting support from the industry itself. But I understand how that's exploited, and good people can disagree. But that's not something we woke up and said, this is a top priority for the state, when we know what the top priorities are: homelessness, housing, the issues of crime, quality of life, and issues related to regulation and taxes, which are all top.
Here's the bigger issue. Newsom isn't blind to the state's problems. Everyone sees them. Homelessness is spiraling out of control. Crime keeps climbing in major cities. Taxes are driving families and businesses to pack up and leave. None of this is a secret. It's front-page news week after week. But recognizing the problems isn't the same as solving them. Newsom delivers polished speeches that nod to the struggles Californians face. Yet words don't build housing, cut crime, or lower taxes. Real leadership requires action, in California is still waiting.
Good job this year making it rain.
You're welcome.
That
was my legislative priority.
It was looking bad there for a while, and we still don't have enough water in the Colorado River and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then whenever I read 80% of the water goes to agriculture. Almonds.
Right.
No one ever asked you about almonds? Oh, I'm going to ask you about almonds.
And then there's California's water crisis. Nearly 80% of the state's water is consumed by agriculture, with a massive share devoted to just one croplands. The irony is hard to miss. Everyday Californians are told to take shorter showers and let their lawns die, all while billions of gallons are diverted to almond farms. Why? Because big agriculture has the political clout to keep the system tilted in its favor. While regular families ration every drop, corporate farms continue draining the state's most precious resource. In a state ravaged by droughts and wildfires, that trade-off is hard to justify.
A boatload of almonds.
I'm well aware.
You know what? You know how much water it takes?
Many gallons.
1,900 gallons to grow a pound of almonds. Come on, man. Take on big almonds.
Take on big almonds.
I mean, it's not like we don't have the water.
No. You're right about it. It's not that we don't have the water. That said, the last couple of years were tough. I mean, but it's also where the water's falling and we're not capturing it. And we're not capturing those extreme years with these atmospheric rivers. Wets are getting a lot wetter, dry's drier, hot's getting a lot hotter. And so we've got to modernize our conveyance system. We've got to modernize our storage, not just above ground, but below ground. And so that's a big part of our focus and frame, including desalinization plants. We have 20 projects just on desal that we're working on today. So we put out a detailed water strategy that includes, by the way, getting that Delta conveyance project back up and operational, and includes the first above ground off stream storage facility in half a century in the state, which, by the way, is being aided by a regulatory package I pushed forward to reduce red tape in the state of California.
If there's one thing Newsom has mastered, it's presentation. He's a smooth talker who can spin every press conference and interview to look like bold leadership. But behind the polished sound bites. The same problems persist: rising homelessness, rising crime, and businesses packing up. He's become less of a problem solver and more of a performer. Californians get speeches instead of solutions. And while words may play well on camera, they don't make neighborhoods safer or life more affordable.
Well, I'm telling you, you're good at this job. Okay. I feel like the last couple of years you've like purposely picked this fight with the red states. I mean, the DeSantis. Yeah, but I don't want to live in the Civil War.
I agree with that.
You know what? Well, but you seem like you purposely want to set up this dichotomy between, this is a blue state and that's a red state, and I don't want to live in that country. I like Florida.
I'm with you. And by the way, I like Florida as well. I like all these states. I completely agree. I don't want to have a state of mind that's a constant fight or flight. We've gone through so much. We've been polarized and traumatized. There's been a tough 5-6 years across the globe, not just in this country. That said, I'm not going to sit back and watch. You made the point just a moment ago in your monologue. You got folks out there trying to bring us back to a pre-1960s world. America in reverse, rolling back voting rights, LGBTQ rights, women's rights, not just access to abortion, but...
The truth is, Gavin Newsom embodies the far edge of the progressive agenda, and if voters elevate him to the national stage, America could face the same decline California has endured under his watch. Once a symbol of opportunity and growth, the state is now plagued by homelessness, drug abuse, rising crime, and an exodus of families and businesses. Newsom has perfected the art of style over substance: sharp suits, polished speeches, and all the right talking points, but behind the image lies a crisis spiraling out of control. We've seen this playbook before. President Obama inspired millions with hope and vision, yet critics argue he left the nation more divided. Newsom promised a California dream, but delivered tent cities and soaring costs. Now, some want him to run for president, but America doesn't need another illusionist in office. It needs leaders who produce results. California should serve as the warning. Ignore it, and the entire country could pay the price.